Shock Piece: The Search for Freedom. A novel by C. Nguyen. Chapter 19: The Pigs, the Cats, and the Kittens. 1977. Most people in the neighborhood around Drin's house had to change their lifestyle to get involved with real labor. She had seen the ex-minister of finance from the old regime sweeping up his front yard and picking up rubbish on the streets. The other minister of internal affairs was seen sitting on the pavement talking to the street bike repairer animatedly, showing everyone that all are equal. Labor is an honorable duty. That was another slogan of the Vietnamese Communist Party. And Drin had to remember, nothing was considered real work without involving toil with hands and feet in mud or soil. You must follow the soldiers' example of using all resources for food and necessities, they were told. Then somehow, peculiar as it might seem, a pigsty or a chicken pen in every house as proof of adhering to the slogans was the talk of the entire city. Without available land, Saigon citizens could not grow a garden, and so they turned to raising pigs or chickens inside their cosmopolitan houses. Like the rest, Drin's mother bought 3 little mountain piglets, 1 black and 2 white, to try and raise. There was a smart black one called Miss Piggy. She became their leader in no time. Their pigsty was at the rear, and the kitchen was forbidden to them. But Miss Piggy seemed to know when there was nobody at home. She would lead the whole gang out of their pen and venture out to forage excitedly in the garbage bin. Drin could not blame them. The family had little to eat, and so did the pigs. Kim usually gave them the prawn or fish heads cooked with remaining food scraps and burnt rice from their cooking disasters. Like the humans, they were hungry all the time. "No, no, no, go back down there, piggy pigs," Drin would shout to the swine clan, stamping her feet and pointing toward the back. She was about to go to school and was already late as usual. Oink, oink, oink. The gang leader looked back at her, curled up her snout, and quickly gave one last shove over the garbage bin to steal a mouthful of food scraps. The others saw an opportunity to attack the pile of rubbish like their leader, and so in they all went. They snorted and grunted with enthusiasm, ignoring Drin completely and squealing with delight in their sumptuous feast. Something different from their meager daily meal allowance. Drin knew that it was futile to scold, since they tended to ignore her most of the time. So she had to pull and push Miss Piggy along to the back. "Naughty girl, you'll make me late for school. Naughty, naughty." Miss Piggy reluctantly clicked her hoofs away from the mess and followed Drin's steps. The girl put the gate back on carefully before running out of the back door to go to school. Miss Piggy would pay attention only to Mac. Mac would shout in his authoritative voice when he got home, once he sighted their appearance in the kitchen. "Get out of here and go back down there." Miss Piggy was smart as a dog. She would attempt another raid before turning around guiltily, her tiny tail curled up at her round rump, clicking noisily away on her 4 trotters. The rest of the gang followed suit, clattering their way over the ceramic tiles back to their sty in a hurry. That period of most Saigon residents living with pigs lasted a year, and it proved pointless with so much cost involved and damage to houses that the Communist Party had to abandon the scheme. It was just one more of the tiresome, unrealistic schemes the party imposed on all Southerners to engage their minds and forget about everything else. There were other tiresome schemes like growing vegetables right in the parkland, in the middle of the city, by following another slogan on the billboard. The people of Communist Vietnam need to learn to utilize all the natural resources. Saigon citizens were amused by various vegetable patches in the midst of their city where flower gardens used to be. Drin almost ran into a family of chooks in her hurry. Unlike the first day going back to school, she was not surprised to see almost all the farm animals hens clucking frantically, roosters crowing proudly, ducks waddling about pleasurably, and pigs snorting noisily on the footpaths, or running wild in schoolyards or everywhere in the city. The little townhouse somehow had enough space to accommodate, at one time, 10 people, 3 cats, 9 kittens, and 3 mountain pigs. The animals were in harmonious existence within their boundaries and endurance, just like the humans. The 3 cats were scavengers by nature, so no one had to worry about feeding them as much as the pigs. They were called grandma, mother, and daughter, 3 generations of the same linear cat family that had lived alongside them for as long as Trin remembered. Luke used to rush home from school, looking for them to give them leftover tidbits from his snack and lunch. The entourage of cats and kittens would normally walk out of their hiding place beneath the stairs one by one in a long single line. All 12 of them, the 3 adult cats leading the way, the kittens followed with their tails high, their feline large pupil eyes alert, and their pacing gait gentle, walking with their legs moving in perfect unison like a soldier marching, slowly coming toward Luke for the treat of the day. That colorful picture always brought pleasure to everyone's eyes until the day they had to give up all the kittens for adoption. Grandma Cat was very old. She often lay in a corner, her eyes closed, resting most of the time. Then one day, she did not get up. When Luke called them out for their dinner with his usual tune of meow meow meow, come on, meow meow, time to eat. She died quietly in her little corner, leaving Mother Cat and Daughter Cat as the remaining pets of the family. Luke and Trin buried her in a shallow grave in their small backyard, but it was not long that the dogs smelled her body and dug it up, leaving the hole emptied. Daughter Cat was a lazy one. She had that kind of beautiful, perfect fur in 3 colors, white, black, and gold. Luke used to stroke her fur and murmur, "What had you been up to when I was at school? Did you miss me at all?" Purring and meowing seductively while waiting for a tidbit from Luke. Daughter Cat would just lay there enjoying his attention. Perhaps she thought she was a lady, superior to the rest of her feline clan, refusing to neither hunt for food nor chase after the mice, even when they circled around her tentatively at night. Mother Cat, on the other hand, was an extraordinary one. She was black and white. She hunted and sometimes stayed very mellow near the saucepans, her eyes closed and her tails weaving up and down intermittently, waiting for her chance to steal when no one was looking. On many occasions at night, Trin witnessed Mother Cat sitting up against the saucepan, her eyes gleaming in the dark, full of mischief, the pupils pointing penetratingly, and her long whiskers extending sideways from a cute little black nose. She used her right front paw to dip into the remaining family dinner, bringing it to her mouth skillfully, like a human. Then one day, she brought home a big chunk of steak she had obviously stolen from some unsuspecting family. Kim and Trin were home preparing dinner for the whole family as usual. Without a moment's hesitation, the girls jumped up and chased after Mother Cat, reclaiming the steak for the humans. The family had meat that evening for a change, thanks to Mother Cat's special skill. Sadly, they could not keep her and had to give her up to a friend who was in need of a cat that hunted. For obvious reasons, Daughter Cat was not an option, and so Mother Cat was given to the family 20 kilometers away. Luke cried when bidding his farewell to Mother Cat. He whispered to her, "It's all right now, darling. You're going to be well looked after. They have food to feed you, unlike us. We're too poor now to keep you, but we will always love you. Go and live with them. We won't forget you." The children stood there on the pavement looking after the motorized scooter until it had completely disappeared from their sight before turning inside. Mother Cat wiggled vigorously in the bamboo basket, which was tied neatly at the top, and hung on a hook between the rider's seat and the scooter's control. Her hostile growling and hissing was sad to hear. She was probably disappointed at her owner's betrayal. It was a month later that Trin heard a loud thud in the open-air kitchen in the middle of the night. Lying there in a puddle of blood, both bright and purplish red of fresh and old blood, Mother Cat had returned home. Perhaps she had encountered human scavengers traveling that long distance home and had suffered the injury from the attack, but managed to escape and come back to the family. They had nothing to help her with except an ancient-looking bottle of mercurochrome, which had expired years ago and which only had a tiny bit left. She lay there slowly recuperating with this expired antiseptic solution. Her stomach had been split open with a long gash, exposing her intestines, and she had lost a lot of blood. She was alive and well after a week. It was a miracle. In times of crisis, it seems that animals and humans always manage to survive if they still have the will to live. Mother Cat stayed back with the family, and she eventually had a litter of kittens. Drin put the kittens in a small cardboard box lined with straws donated by the fruit vendors. Following her trips to the market, she hid them under the stairs as usual. The tiny wet kittens with their infant eyes still shut looked helpless and fragile. Many nights after that, Drin often heard the frantic meow calls of the neighborhood cats. The calls were eerie and haunting in the dark, like meandering lost souls trying to find their way back to their bodies. Lying in her bed, Drin shuddered at the thoughts. Then one night, the noise was even more disturbing. The meows were more frantic, and there was the sound of fighting in the kitchen. Drin awoke to see the silhouettes of a few small animals lying on the floor. At first, she thought they were mice, as Mother Cat was sitting next to the carcasses, licking her paws as if she was grooming herself without any concern. Then coming closer, she realized that they were her kittens. Some were in halves, and some had had their bellies torn open, exposing the rib cage cavity without any entrails. Their infant eyes were still shut tight. Drin stood there in awe, trying to comprehend what might have happened to her kittens. He managed to cry in the end, figuring out that they were all dead after being savaged and eaten. Some cats might have attacked them in the dark of the night, scavenging for food to maintain their survival like everyone else in this trying period.